Hello and welcome to Soul and Soma Talk podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Thompson, and I want to start off by saying thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have I honestly think this is going to be, out of the almost 4 years I've had this podcast, it still gets me excited. I still love recording episodes. I love having a podcast. I love that you guys, any time of the day, wherever you are around the world, I'm sure that you can find something that is just for you. And today is something that not only as a therapist, I own my own private practice called Self-Care Studio. So not only am I a therapist where a big part of what I do with my clients is work on relationships with themselves is the most important one. And then relationships with other people that can be work, family, friends, partners, children. So this episode is not only what I do every day with my clients, but it actually really sits heavy on my heart, and I love it so much and I'm so passionate about it, but also it's a whole area of my life. Until I was in my 40s, I didn't know any of this stuff. And if you have clicked on this and you've downloaded the episode, or you might have forwarded it to a friend, I'm kind of guessing that you're curious. You're curious because you might be in a new relationship and you thought, oh, let me just check this out. You might have been in a relationship for a while and you're like, I just want to see, what Barbara has to say about this. Or it might have been sent to you. Or you could be single and you're doing your homework and finding out all this stuff before you get into a relationship. But in saying all that, I really want to say from the start that I didn't know any of this, and I'm not just saying it. People sometimes think, oh yeah, surely some of this stuff is very simple. But when you're conditioned and these are your passions in relationship, especially love, a lot of us can't see it. So when I say this is true to my heart, and I could talk about this all day and every day, yes, this is so special to me, and it's so important that you hear what I'm going to say. But first of all, let's get to the good stuff. So if you are dating someone new or you've just started a relationship, I want to say, yay, this is exciting, seriously. And I want you to enjoy it. I want you to discover this whole new side of yourself that only shows up when you connect with someone. And new relationships are and can feel magical. There's curiosity, there's chemistry, there's laughter, and there's that feeling of, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could feel like this again. Or it might be, I've never felt this way before. And I just love love. Many of us do, because that's what we're here for. We're here for connection. We're here to learn things from other people, to have mirrors in front of us. It is such a beautiful thing. And I love seeing people open their hearts and really have that companionship and connection, because it is so beautiful and it's amazing. So this episode is not here to make you scared or fearful or to feel like I'm poo-pooing on relationships, because that is not what I'm doing. I'm just giving you the information that I would have liked to know, but you have to be quite open-minded, because I know when I was dating, when I was married, or when I've been in relationships myself, people they wouldn't go into depth of what I'm going in today, but they might have said to me in the past, oh, Barbara, I don't like the way he talks to you, or don't you think that's a little bit controlling? And I would so dismiss it and be like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're not in my shoes, I'm a smart, intelligent woman, I know right from wrong, and you just get into this defensive mode. Little did I know, even if you get defensive, there's something in there. But I didn't know any of this. I've learned on the job, which means I've learned in my own life, and I've learned through my studies of being a therapist, and I still learn, and I am learning every single day. So I want to give you everything I know, and yeah, let's kind of go from there. But this episode is, I want to help you walk into love with your eyes open and your heart protected and your self-worth intact. You deserve to be happy and you deserve to feel safe. So you may be thinking, why does this conversation matter? Everyone's in a relationship, I'll work it out. Sure. At this time of year, the beginning of the year, I find that a lot of people find themselves in new relationships. It's a new year, it's summer, it's holidays, it's fresh starts. And this creates a space for connection. And the beginning, more often than not, feels absolutely incredible. You're on cloud 9. Everything's amazing now. Everything's going to work out. There's chemistry, excitement, connection, that feeling of, oh, finally. And because it feels so good, we don't always notice when something isn't quite right. Healthy relationships absolutely exist. Most of us just don't walk into a relationship expecting it to be not to work out or not to be healthy, which is why awareness matters and this conversation matters. So the early stage, why does it feel so different? Of course it feels different from any of your past partners, because, that can be true in both a healthy and an unhealthy relationship. So if they felt the same as everyone else that you've dated or been with, you wouldn't go there. You wouldn't discover, you wouldn't learn new things, and you certainly wouldn't grow. Some parts of ourselves can only heal when we're in relationships. So I want you to really hear when I say that. So we go through life and if you've a client of mine or you've worked with me in the past, you know that I talk a lot about why is this happening in your life, what is the mirrors, what's reflecting back at you, and what are we learning from this? Because this is what we are here to do. We're here to learn. And parts of ourselves, of the lessons we need to learn, can only be done inside romantic relationships. I know, fun, right? But in the early stage of this relationship, they're on your mind 24/7. You feel so seen and chosen and special, and it can feel so good and so intoxicating. And sometimes what feels like deep connection can actually be fast-tracked intimacy. You might hear things like, I've never felt this way before. You're different from anyone I've met. I can see a future with you. We're meant to be. There may be constant messaging, intense attention, overwhelming affection. Now, this is often called love bombing. Now, let me be clear. Not all intensity is manipulation. Not all enthusiasm is unhealthy, okay? Healthy relationships build slowly and steadily. They unfold naturally and you feel so calm. You don't feel rushed. They don't rush to secure you, and real connection grows over time. So some of these patterns are hard to see, and here's the tricky part. If you grew up around certain patterns, if control felt normal in your household, if emotional inconsistency felt familiar with your parents, you may not see these red flags. Honestly, you may not see them. Even when others point them out, you may defend the relationship. You may minimize concerns. You may believe, they just don't get it. They don't understand. That was me. And it doesn't mean that you're naive. It just means that your nervous system recognizes what feels familiar. So let's look at something, grooming and subtle control. So control isn't usually begin in obvious ways, because if it did, you would never entertain it. And it really starts with aggression. Instead, it arrives disguised as care. I really care about you. I'm really concerned, or I'm protecting you. And early controlling behaviours may look like wanting to know where you are at all times, but it's framed as caring, jealousy presented as love, discouraging time with friends or family, subtle criticism about what you're wearing or how you behave or how you look, needing constant reassurance, moving the relationship forward very quickly. You meet their family, they meet your family, and you do everything together really, really quite quickly. And at first it can all feel really flattering and really good. You feel desired and protected and chosen. Over time though, that can feel a little bit heavy. And a helpful reminder is this: control often enters dressed as love. Control often enters dressed as love. So let me explain something called coercive control. You may have heard a little bit about it. Coercive control is a pattern of behaviour that's used to dominate, isolate, and control another person. It isn't always loud. It's often subtle and cumulative over time, and it can include monitoring your movements, isolating you from support networks, emotional manipulation, intimidation, financial control, guilt and pressure, undermining your confidence, and making you question yourself. This is all about power and not love. So why don't we see it when we're in it? I think that's a really good question. Why don't we see it? And a lot of people say, well, if they're that bad, why don't you just leave? If it was really obvious from the beginning, we would leave, right? So emotional attachment clouds our perception of things. Hoping that something will get better, like the first month or the first 2 months, everything was amazing, and then it turned to shit a little bit, or you just kept getting butterflies in your tummy, or you kept feeling like something was off. So we have this hope, and this feeling of hope keeps us invested. There's moments of kindness, which creates confusion, because they can be really kind, and they can be mean, and they can be really kind, and you're kind of like, is it me? Intermittent affection strengthens the bond as well. And to outsiders, everything looks amazing because the beginning looks really good. And if it was that obvious, people wouldn't stay. There's something that I want to talk to you about. It's something called Clare's law. And there's increasing efforts to support safety and informed choices in relationships. So in South Australia, so if you live there, Clare's law allows individuals to request information about a partner's history of domestic violence. So you can actually call your local police station and say, hey, look, I've just started dating Joe Blogs. Can you just look up and see if he has, or she, Joanna Blogs, so Joe Blogs or Joanna Blogs. I just want to see if they have any history of domestic violence. And what the police will do, they can look up and tell you. At the time of this episode recording, this is specific to South Australia, but I'm really hoping, I have signed a petition, I think many of us have, that we really hope that awareness and protective measures continue to expand across Australia and the world, that we can have this tool to really help us. So people think abuse is violence, but it doesn't ever really start with violence. It begins with emotional manipulation, control, and psychological harm. The harmful behaviours escalate over time. And I'm not sharing this to scare you or to put you off relationships, because we all need to have relationships. That's what we're here for. But I just want you to know everything. I want you to have all the facts. I want you to be aware. I want you to be informed. And if you're at a party or at a barbecue or drinks with the girls or something and you hear something's off, this information isn't just for you. This is for your community. This is for your sister, anyone, any woman or any male in your life, anyone. This is really important stuff that I want you to know. So what does healthy love actually feel like? So let's talk about that for a minute. Healthy relationships include emotional safety, respect for boundaries, consistency between their words and actions. You have space for independence, so you don't do everything together all the time. Encouragement of friendships and family, inside and outside of the relationship. Trust is built over time. Accountability after conflict, so how you repair after conflict and communicate. And healthy love doesn't make you feel small. It does not make you feel anxious about being yourself. It does not require you to abandon who you are. And it feels safe in your nervous system. So you don't feel anxious, you don't feel nervous, you don't have butterflies. And it's a really calm feeling like, yeah, I can be myself. And this person makes me a better person. Like I said, this episode isn't about making you fearful of love. It's about helping you walk into relationships with clarity, awareness, and trusting yourself. And if you know someone who's recently started a new relationship, please share this with them, because love can be beautiful, love can be safe, and love can feel like home. And the right love will never require you to abandon yourself to keep it. Looking back now, I can see there were things I normalized because they felt familiar to my nervous system. And at the time, I didn't see the red flags. I saw comfort. And that's the tricky part. Familiar doesn't always mean healthy. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this feels so incredible. This is it. Yay, yay, yay. the attention, the connection. I was feeling like I was on a high, and I just felt like I was chosen, and nothing felt wrong about it. But I just want you to know that the intensity and the safety of a relationship isn't the same thing. And there are so many people around me who could see what was happening and I couldn't. And I defended the relationships I had because I believed that they just didn't understand. They didn't get it. I was like, shut up. You don't even know, like, whatever. And you just feel so defensive and so judged and like, just leave me alone. And when you're inside a relationship, your perspective changes. But isn't it easy? If I say to a lot of my clients, when I hear something that's happening in a relationship, I'd be like, oh, so tell me what you'd say to your best friend. And instantly we're so quick to say, oh my God, I do X, Y, Z. But when it comes to ourselves, our perspective, when we're in it, we come from a really different place. So I don't share any of this from a place of judgment, or like, it can always come across as being quite negative, but I share this from a lived experience and from sitting with hundreds of clients who wish that they understood these things earlier, because this stuff can ruin your life. This stuff, if it goes right, happy days. But if it doesn't, it's years of self-esteem and building up your finances and finding out who you are again, and it just takes a real knock. But this isn't for every relationship, like I said. This is just the things I would like you to know if you have started a new relationship or started dating someone. And a couple of things before I go. So when you're with this person at the beginning, in the beginning, I always say loosely, it can be anywhere between 3, 6, or 12 months. It just depends what the relationship's like. But, let's just say 6 months. So if this person is dating you and you're like, they're amazing, they're great, but they could do this or could do that. So I want you to know that when you're dating anyone, how they show up in the beginning is the best you're ever going to get. They're not suddenly going to be, if they're never on time, they're not all of a sudden going to be on time or read your mind or whatever. So always bring honesty to the relationship, but I always want you to know that the person that you're with, just think about what you're doing right now. You are showing the best version of you, and they are showing you their best version of themselves. And always listen to the things they say, what they share about their past, how they speak about their ex-partners, how they speak about the mother or the father of their children, how they speak about their workmates, just in general, because the clues are there. And we just don't want to see it. And I can tell you what, we live in a society where we're so conditioned that if you don't have the house, you don't have the job, you don't have the 2 kids and the dog, and you don't have the husband and the wife and all that stuff, there is something wrong with you. I sit in front of people constantly who have everything, and they are absolute everything that society wants us to have, and they are fucking miserable and so burnt out and so lost and don't know who they are. It has to start with you. It has to start with the relationship with yourself. It has to start with you knowing, I actually don't need anyone. I'd like to have someone. And if I choose to have someone, you know what? They're going to make my life so much better. They're going to make me a better person because they're going to show me the areas that I need to work on. And I'm going to make them a better person. And it's so great it's like a kindred spirit, a kindred soul, and it's a great connection. But at the end of the day, if you're building a life right now that you're chasing all of these things, it's not the answer. It's not going to make you happy. For a moment, it's going to make you happy, but it brings this great emptiness because it all starts with you. Like, we have this hole in us and we think, oh my God, if we get love from the outside, if we get someone every day telling us how beautiful we look, or we get someone that gives us all the attention, or we have someone to spend the Sunday nights with, yeah, if you haven't done the work on yourself, it's, it trips us up in the end, like it all gets to us. But that's what I'm just trying to say is always understand who you are in the relationship and how you change in a relationship and how this person makes you feel, but who this person is turning you into. Are they making you a better person, or are they not making you a better person? So If you have any questions about this or you would like me to expand on anything that I've shared, please send me a message over on Instagram or send me an email. All my notes are in the show notes. Just get in contact with me and just say, hey, Barbs, I really like this. Can you talk about this more? Because I could go into this. Like I said, I could talk about this all day, and there's so many pockets I could go into. But today is just an introduction that, hey, if you're dating, you're in a new relationship, or you're wanting to be in a new relationship, here are just some key things I want you to know. And it can be all amazing. All right, well, thank you for joining me on this conversation. Please let me know if you have any feedback, or I'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye! If this episode resonated with you and you'd like to go deeper, you can find me at Self-Care Studio, my private practice, where I work with clients online and in person. You can find me over on Instagram, self_care_studio. You can also explore my online programs through School of Self, designed to help you understand yourself, breaking patterns, building a healthier relationship with your mind and body. To learn more or access my courses, visit selfcarebybarbarathompson.com.au. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who may need to hear it today. Word of mouth helps these conversations reach the people who need them most. And if you have a moment, I would love it if you could please leave a review on Apple or Spotify. This helps the podcast grow by recommending this to more listeners, and it supports more people on their healing journey. Thank you so much for being here and for doing the work, and I look forward to you joining me on the next episode. Bye!